far. Zyra, Jace, not looking to give the Zyra over to Chei. No one really wants to play against Zyra, regardless.
Yeah, this is something G2 was doing as well. I think the Zyra Malzahar opener, they're just going to stick with the standard Zyra. I like Rumble banned away against Odoamne as well. It's more likely to force a good tank matchup that you can draw off relatively early. We need to see where the priority lies on Ivern for ROCCAT, because that seems to be kind of the flavor of the last 2 weeks.
Well, and really, I think Ivern as a pick just fits so well into what we consider Maxlore as a jungler to do, right? Enables your lanes to be successful, helps other people on your team carry the game. And so we want that from Maxlore, but I also feel like we really want to see Betsy and Hjarnan kind of step up and be big carries for this team.
But to explain why we think that, we also need to give the context there, right? And if we look at ROCCAT right now, they are struggling, and we wanted to delve a little bit deeper and like, where is ROCCAT really faltering? And we looked at, for example, the CS differentials at 10 and 15 minutes, and they weren't as stark to honestly explain why they were so far behind in gold. And then we looked at objectives, and they weren't that far behind either. Turns out that most of the deficits from ROCCAT are actually generated by not getting many kills themselves and then dying quite a bit themselves as well. So they're playing low pressure styles where Maxlore is forced to go into a deficit as well by showing up too much at his lanes, but nothing is really happening. ROCCAT average a single kill, well, 1.1 kills at 15 minutes. That is far too low.
Definitely want to see more action from them in the early game, or to give up less deaths in the early game so they can maintain even. We can see how they come into a mid game, but they're already setting themselves up for success here. That is the Ivern coming out for Maxlore. We have the Ryze locked in as well for Betsy.
Yeah, stylistically, Maxlore is more of a supportive jungler, where he can really make his lanes shine. That I think is the style we saw a lot from him last year, where he kind of took off. It's hard for him to find his footing on picks like Kha'Zix, so I like that they go for the Ivern. Obviously, the rest of the draft, H2K went for power picks on the bot lane. I like this. Investing early in strength with the Malzahar and the Varus. A really strong combination, especially that Zyra's out. Yes, Misfortune is still open, but in the way they drafted it, ROCCAT had to choose jungler, AD carry, and support. They need to pick 2 out of 3 roles, and they let support slide by, which means H2K can likely ban out Misfortune in the second ban phase.
Will set themselves up for a pretty, easy bottom lane. All things considered, at least a strong advantage. Coming into the early game. Malzahar, of course, especially terrifying past that level 6 point. And Corki now locked in as well. This has been a Febiven special. Definitely one he's enjoyed playing recently and has put up some fantastic numbers on it as well. Yeah,
luckily for H2K, or for ROCCAT rather, it's the Malzahar support and not, there's no room for Tahm Kench, because Tahm Kench would slot in beautiful with the Varus and the Corki, because that's again this poke siege comp that a lot of teams have been running with Ivern, with Tahm Kench as protection. Right now they're running it pretty bare. They need some peel in there, so we may see a Shen pickup from Odoamne if it's not banned out.
Taking their time in the second ban phase, MF, as predicted, taken off the board, Elise to follow. And it's been interesting. I feel like we've seen a lot of teams give up on tanks and just go for these team comps that are very squishy, very vulnerable, require that high level of execution. But interestingly enough, Trundle now taken off the board.
Because I think H2K want to play Shen, and they expect ROCCAT with the Elise ban, also forcing themselves to ban Rek'Sai. Why just ban one jungler if you're going to go in, ban both, or they ban maybe Lee Sin away, so they want to really force it seems Jankos on Rek'Sai, but I think he's comfortable playing that jungle right there. So Rek'Sai Shen seems to be like a good composition here, with Rumble taken off the board and the Trundle off the board. I think this is a fine matchup for the Shen to play.
H2K now taking their time. They can save last pick for jungle. They can save last pick for top lane. But what is the priority here? Are they willing to give up the Shen? It looks like they are.
Okay, so they really just want to find a comfortable top lane matchup. Remember, they have counter pick potential here, because obviously the picks will go off to ROCCAT, and they already know what jungler they're playing against, so they're going to cater their jungler against the composition of ROCCAT, or they just really just want Maokai, and they don't care if ROCCAT get the Shen themselves.
Interesting to see what they play. We saw Jankos and Probably kind of messing around before the game started. Jankos screaming at Probably, jokingly, of course. Maybe we're going to see something fun. Jankos tweeted out about it as well. Maybe we're going to see something crazy here. Probably talked a lot about using the stage as another place to practice, to push for more difficult team comps, but there's going to be some difficult lanes here. Phaxi picking up the Fiora, going up against Odoamne's Maokai. That's a matchup we haven't seen in a while.
No, it's Phaxi on a carry. It's good if you play with a utility jungler. Obviously, you want to... The combination of top and jungle, usually you want at least have some carry potential in there. I like it. It's a win condition for ROCCAT if Phaxi can take off. Can definitely do a lot of work. And they draft Tahm Kench support, which is good into Malzahar, or it's a playable matchup into Malzahar, to also allow for better map movement. So these guys are opting very clearly into a 1-3-1 composition here, ROCCAT, but it is incredibly difficult to play at a very high level.
Well, I really like it. I like that they're setting their teams up for success. Maxlore on a more supportive role. All three of the primary carries here, given a champion that can carry, given a champion that can split push, that can snowball leads and larger advantages. It's pretty good to see, but H2K have now rounded out their composition. They're picking up the Graves that has been rising in popularity so very quickly.
No, I like the matchup here. Graves with pushing lanes is an incredibly strong jungler to play, because early game Corki should at least have control of keeping the wave neutral at worst, and then this Varus Malzahar lane can always push in a melee support like Tahm Kench, let alone that Varus already outpushes Jhin. So these are two pushing lanes where Maokai can be kind of left on an island, because Ivern ganks aren't that strong in terms of damage, so if Odoamne plays smart, it gives liberty to Jankos to kind of play the style that he likes playing sometimes as well. Not as much visiting lanes early and snowballing, but he also likes occasionally playing heavy farm invade and just kind of messing with the opposing jungler.
Well, and of course, if we see that, it will mean that there may be less kills given up in the early game by ROCCAT. Maybe that lets them come into the mid game on even keel, which is something we so rarely see. We're finally going to see ROCCAT mid game without a deficit. Maybe we're going to see some improvements in terms of shot call.
Yeah, and that opposed to the honestly stellar early game from H2K, especially when it comes to objectives. These guys take down so many turrets, first bloods, dragons. It's all within their reach, and we need to see if that happens again against ROCCAT.
Really terrifying to play against, too, when you're a team that already feels like they have a struggling early game. But now, coming into it, head on over to Twitter, hashtag H2K win, hashtag ROCCAT win, hashtag ROC win, rather. If you think ROCCAT can take this, if they think they can bring it back. This is a team, of course, with a ton of history, struggling again this season, but not entirely down and out yet. And H2K absolutely have to find a win here.
Now, when you see what happens, ROCCAT every week is a new blank sheet of paper where they can write their story on, but if we dig into history, the sheets that have been written aren't that good so far. They're looking to find consistency, they're looking to find victories. So obviously, their dream is to make playoffs, and they've discussed it, but it always seems like an idle hope for them.
It's a sad place to be as well, especially with Maxlore coming onto the team, a guy who had so much success in his first season, a guy we expected to see, you know, kind of an excellent performance coming out. He's really been struggling to find impact, as has the rest of the ROCCAT lineup. And now I think we talked about it in Champion Select. Our eyes are really going to be on this early game. Can ROCCAT play clean? Can they keep even as they have been? And
it obviously starts here with the invade. Maxlore and Phaxi looking to get a little ward on a buff. If you place it around 52 seconds, you should always have an idea of where the grave starts, and then you can cater your jungle path around it. Ivern has some flexibility. Basically, when he hits level 3, he can kind of swoop around back to the other side again, or go for a fast smite gank, depending on whether he wants to maximize efficiency or have a bit of a gank timing. Obviously, Jankos, his dream is that he can not get any buffs stolen and find a way to invade Ivern as well. So it's always a mind game.
That's everybody's dream when you play against Ivern. Very rarely the case in solo queue, although we do see a lot of Iverns in competitive. Just play to the safe side. Go for the fast early clear, not worry so much about contesting early buff.
And this is also an evolution we see so often. Right now, ROCCAT, they see the red buff is not being started, so they expect a leash on the side of H2K, but H2K's bot lane is just kind of going to camp the second brush here. So Jankos is solo starting. This is something teams should be ready for, because we have seen it a lot. Grace has an incredibly sustainable clear, but it's going to be very hard for the ROCCAT lanes right now to kind of survive. And it's also good to do versus Ivern, because Ivern doesn't need a leash. That sometimes shifts matchup. If you have a winning matchup where you have to go help your jungler, the opponents could get an advantage. So Jankos selecting to take a slightly slower path in benefit of his lanes.
And of course, one of the many perks of the new jungle pathing for Graves is that he only has to fight a single monster at a time for the bottom side clear. So much easier to be healthy on that clear. Now H2K have gotten push priority as a result of that early bush control, and I mean, it looks good for them so far.
And you see the adaptation in terms of skill points as well. Chei here starting with Malefic Visions as opposed to spawning a Voidling, because if you're going to play that push-centric style, there's no point for you to spawn Voidlings as they get one-shot by the turret. You're just going to go for a little bit of harass over time and going to force Hjarnan to farm under turret, or poke Wadid out if he does want to help Hjarnan with CS. And then again, second skill, Q right there. He's really not interested in the traditional Voidling approach here because he's going to be so push heavy.
Yeah, just looking to reset the Malefic Visions, get down a little bit of extra poke there. Honestly, a solid start so far, but of course not going to see too much action here on the bottom side, at least not until Jankos makes his appearance known. And for now, Ivern continues with a steady early clear.
Yep, steady early clear here. Jankos playing around the possibility of his red being stolen as well, just by power farming, I think. Not losing out anything. He's actually on pace to kind of match this Ivern pick overall. This is the point of contention where we usually see the Krugs being stolen. This happens almost every single Ivern game where Ivern wants to walk in, but because Graves has such a fast clear and Jankos still has smite, he will actually not succeed, I think.
Of course, still has to set it up to smite it away, so does not have the luxury. Maxlore potentially caught out here.
Maxlore's level 3 versus... Ooh, the respect flash. That's rough. You're playing this jungler that is known for its fast pacing, efficient clearing, and honestly, really easy gameplay, and then Jankos is outpacing him on the Graves without a leash.
And it's really interesting too, because it's not like he skipped a camp to get ahead of it. He just full cleared. He did every single camp on the way there.
He skipped his own Krugs, you know. That's the thing. He made the decision of going to contest the Graves, and it may show some being not so familiar with the matchup, because Ivern wants to do that against a lot of slow clearing junglers to then mess with him on Krugs. But in this particular matchups, it seems that it was the wiser choice to actually go for his Krugs instead.
Maxlore getting the bad half of that deal overall, now forced to back in plain sight, so H2K have the knowledge and the comfort to push up their lanes to put pressure down here.
Exactly, and that's also a nice example of good team communication by H2K. He spotted top left. He knows, and Jankos knows that there's only one camp remaining for this guy, which is the Krugs bottom right. Well, bot lane is perma pushing, they invade, and they get full knowledge on the jungler in the first 5 minutes of the game, which makes it very easy to play League if you know where the enemy jungler is.
I would love to know where the enemy jungler is.
You can. With 2 deep wards, you too can know where the enemy jungler is.
You're saying I have to get better to know where the jungler is? I'd like to know now, Krepo.
Well,
and Betsy'd like to know. Yeah, finding out the hard way, Jankos moving, and that's actually a lot of damage. Febiven gets a little aggressive there, but not going to pursue it with the flash.
And again, these pushing lanes, Jankos is free to roam into the enemy jungle. He too would like to drop a ward, has 1 stack left, and he can path down if he wants. He's just looking for camps that will respawn soon. Raptors are up now. And Chei peeling off here, good support jungle synergy. Now it's up to Nuclear to play safe. He could technically get flashed on if they know Chei is missing rather.
Going in, Febiven getting a little aggressive there, but Trigger Seed not going to do any damage. And now Chei on the way up. Jankos coming in as well, and Chei has been a monster this week so far.
Yeah, but look what he's doing here, Chei. He's moving ahead of the enemy support, which means that there's never a 3 versus 2 collapse from ROCCAT. This is all playing in unison, and it looks like he's not doing much, but it's providing support that allows Febiven to kind of play aggressive. Because Febiven is leaning towards the side where Jankos is, and Jankos knows he's not to be afraid of a roaming support, because Chei peeled off much sooner than Wadid.
Yeah, allowing for setting up that aggression. Corki now pushing out the mid wave. Ryze gets a decent back. Not a whole ton lost on the side of ROCCAT, but H2K is still clearly in control. Once again, a story of small advantages here.
Yeah, small advantages, very objective focus. The bot lane turret tier 1 is what they're aiming for. H2K is so good at getting it. I think 11 in 13 games they've gotten first turret overall on the map. It has been dropped 1 versus Vitality, 1 versus G2 eSports. So incredibly impressive rate so far, and they're repeating it again.
Interesting to see too as well. 6-minute mark, we're well away from the 10-minute mark, but one of the big things we talked about was that the ROCCAT lanes generally tend to stay even. But right now, H2K building a decent lead for themselves on the bottom side of the map. They're going to have to be careful though. Snare goes down onto Chei. Maxlore on the way in. Trigger seed. Chei's going to be triggered after that. Spit back to the team. Exhaust comes down. Double TP. Hjarnan running for his life. Odo's here as well. So is Phaxi. First blood drops for the Tahm Kench. Now going to trade one back in exchange, but has Odoamne given his life. Trigger seed drops. The challenge has been issued. Odo drops in the end. That's great for ROCCAT.
And this is exactly what we need to see more from ROCCAT. Organized group plays, hitting their weaknesses and helping their bot lane hide their weakness in terms of being pushed in here. The immediate reaction here, good gang timing from Maxlore. It was warded out from Chei and Nuclear. We can criticize that one large ward location later on. We'll definitely see it in the replay because they saw the Ivern coming, it was simply too late. If you're that far pushed up, you need a ward on where the Scuttlecrab dies, not any farther into the river because it's essentially useless then. A really quick teleport from Phaxi, and Betsy also roamed down much faster than Febiven. So this was a controlled kind of all-in bot lane with teleport for ROCCAT, and we haven't really seen that too often from them.
Take a look at it one more time. Ward.
So this is where they see him. It's already too late, right? If Wadid flashes in with the exhaust, Chei can never flash out of range, and then he gets devoured. At this point, I think it's better to yield a 1 for 0 and actually complete your teleports because you're only going to snowball Phaxi here.
Terrifying spot to be. Phaxi and Odo both level 6, and of course, makes it so easy for Fiora to just run into collapse. You can see there, as you mentioned, Betsy ahead. Febiven not even leaving the mid lane in that exchange.
No, once you know you're out-roamed, there's no point chasing because the action is obviously over rather fast in this early game. It's a great move. It equalizes the gold. Bang on even right now. And also nullifies a bit of the pressure. Because it's more of a war of attrition when you're being pushed in the bot lane. So this is a really good moment to breathe for the ROCCAT bot lane.
Have to be happy with it. Of course, no sizable advantage for them quite yet. Like you said, mostly a difference of pressure, an additional long sword to back it up, but traded off from a tier. The CS differential keeps Nuclear just slightly in the lead overall.
Yeah. So Maxlore will definitely have to revisit that lane with Daisy to prevent the turret from falling, or they need to make a play somewhere on the map, maybe with the package to kind of break open, or with the Ryze ultimate rather, because the package is on side of H2K. But that's something they then have to be careful for on the side of ROCCAT, because that is the ideal dream play for H2K was a little bit later, getting the package on Febiven, so he can actually accelerate the roam versus the Ryze, be bot lane much faster, have the play be initiated by Jankos instead, and then take bot lane turret. That is kind of the play pattern that H2K is looking for.
Haven't found an opportunity yet, and it's interesting because ROCCAT are found success on that early bottom lane play before the level 6 mark for so many of their champions. Tahm Kench, no Abyssal Voyage to set up a secret approach on the jungle gank. They're finding advantages without those semi-global abilities, and that means it's only going to get easier if they can kind of remain playing at the level that they have so far.
I like this from Maxlore, grouping with his middle laner just to push out. It's all about pressure at this point. Pressure is what generates you kills. You won't find them out of the blue. So if you can't gank a lane, just helping your laner reset. That's why Febiven's walking up in the mid lane right now. He cancelled Betsy's base. And these little advantages, small victories, that's what you're looking for.
Febiven hanging out in his own little brush in the mid lane. Curtain call coming out to clear the pressure. There's the Tahm Kench going in on the backside, delivering Daisy, and Chei is the one who's left all alone. Will use the ultimate there, but he is now doomed to fall. Exhaust goes down, staring contest, gonna complete, but not in the favor of H2K. Maxlore picks up another one.
Yeah, H2K need to cross map here and get something in the top lane, because that was a really good setup, because even with mediocre execution, ROCCAT still convincingly pulled ahead there. But right now the answer is obviously you lose bot side, you need to make a win on the top side. Phaxi stayed and Febiven's roaming top.
He has flash, he has all. What is he going to do? Parries a little bit, but he's not going to be enough. No mana here to cast the ultimate whatsoever. Does manage to lay it down, but cannot use any other skills. He's going to drop, but nice play to lower the health bars, H2K.
And that's a really good reaction from H2K, but it also shows a tad the inexperience of the ROCCAT roster. It is very greedy to stay at your turret right there when you're looking at the map and what you just did. You spent all your resources on the bottom side. You need to yield in the top side. You can't just expect to outplay. This is not solo queue.
Phaxi a little greedy there in the end, but Wadid maybe hoping to punish H2K, who now have also stayed a bit too long. Red buff triggering down, gonna snare him up, gonna lock him out. Odo drops as well. ROCCAT once again with a kill lead.
Yeah, and they're fighting. This is good to see from ROCCAT. A lot more proactivity. We can excuse Phaxi maybe staying. That was a good reaction.
Void Swarm gets laid down. Malefic Visions as well, now pulling back. Both teams seem so ready to fight, so ready to set up around these objectives. And I mean, surprised to see that a turret hasn't dropped for either side yet. Both teams contesting everything.
But they're being chipped though. Mid lane turret down to 35% right now. Bot lane is actually not as chipped as you would expect. But right now it's all about the threat of the Abyssal Voyage for ROCCAT. They can do so much with this ultimate from Tahm Kench. Deliver any member, keep basing, keep switching the lanes up, you know, surprise people, and suddenly Abyssal Voyage comes out where you don't expect it. Point and click snare on Ryze. Almost point and click follow-up on Maxlore plus Daisy, so that's the combo they're looking for.
I mean, so easy to get the setup if they can keep the pressure up in the lanes. For now, they're on the back foot on the top side, but arriving to the lane to match the duos. Bot lane now becomes our top lane, our top lane fight.
I'm also glad to see no QSS rush against this Malzahar by Hjarnan. Not falling in the wake of Steelback. Actually building lethality items, which are really strong.
I like them. We heard about it. 60% up front, 40% later. We'll look to get a little more than that. Maybe it's Odo's turn to overstep, his turn to overstay. Odoamne getting cut down slowly but surely. Daisy dishing out the damage, and they are going to take him down in the end. ROCCAT popping off, but H2K are on the top side.
Yeah, they're racing for first turret now. Febiven should get in the mid lane, so this is actually not as good of a trade, especially if Febiven can roam from mid to top right after, because with the silence and the fact that they can actually make somebody perma-locked down with the Varus Malzahar combo, this could actually be a more beneficial trade for H2K on the back end of the play. Let's see what happens.
Jankos is here. He's moving in. They have the ultimate from the Malzahar. They're not going to use it yet, though. They're just going to take the tower. ROCCAT learning from their past mistakes. They back off.
And this is the beauty of a good pressure game. Even when you get surprised, your cross-map can net you more advantages, because his first turret gold plus another turret worth of gold versus a single kill on a turret. So that's definitely a win, unless they lose mid here. And that may have been a pathing mistake for Febiven.
Once again, the smart rotation coming in using the Abyssal Voyage. A TP is here, will finish in the end. H2K ready to fight for this one. ROCCAT not taking the risk.
Yeah, technically speaking, Febiven could have been here, but the speed at which ROCCAT are making decisions is honestly unparalleled compared to their previous week. So I'm really glad to see this improvement. Look at it. Decisive flash in, snare like this. It all looks so easy, but the beauty is in the fact that they're doing this together, peeling away, knowing that they may lose mid turret. They're also yielding top tower pressure really early. There's still good trades from H2K because H2K played the early game so well. But ROCCAT, the fact that they're staying even while being at such a large pressure deficit is impressive.
Interesting shift, though, because we do see the CS differential in the bottom lane continue to grow in the favor of Nuclear. Now, Nuclear has been playing incredibly well, but, I mean, what is ROCCAT? Is ROCCAT giving anything up in exchange for all these kills, all these bloody trades, or is this just kind of a difference in the comfort and laning phase?
Yeah, they have been giving up. Well, the draft is what makes them give up CS, right? Obviously, you could technically play this perfect, but when you play Jhin versus Varus, you're already at a minor mismatch. And then when you match a melee support versus a Malzahar, you're obviously going to get pushed in and drop CS. So that's to be expected. He also backed off from the top lane turret instead of dying right there. ROCCAT bot lane did not make the mistake that Phaxi made. So as a team, they are learning and adapting. But can they keep this proactivity up, or will they settle in their old ways?
This is something we talk about when we look at teams. In scrims, you rehearse the early game over and over and over again. Every team has so much experience in that area, but when you get to the mid game, the late game, the rosters that haven't been together as long do tend to struggle. But ROCCAT usually struggling much more.
Yeah. Like in half their games that they've played up to this point, they were behind more than 2,000 gold at 15 minutes, and it's so hard to play that game then. Everybody that you walk into could duel you, so you always have to yield the pressure. When somebody walks up to you like, no, after you. You have to be polite when you ROCCAT. In 5 out of 10 games. Now, they're actually even, so this is a much different environment. They also have a comp with a purpose, they have clear win conditions, and they've shown good communication, so a lot more is possible for this ROCCAT roster this game.
Now moving down to take an Ocean Drake as well. One that's solid to have in the early game, and as long as the gold remains even, it'll be a pure benefit on their side. H2K not in a position to take anything else in exchange.
Yeah, it's a good dragon to have early game as well versus a poke comp. Love me some Oceans. And they've initiated a 1-3-1 protocol as well. Tahm Kench, such a great support in the 1-3-1 composition as well.
Will allow you to move between those lanes so very quickly, but H2K now focusing their attention on the top side, moving up, maybe hoping to mitigate some of the strengths of this Fiora.
Yes, exactly. If they can get this buff to the Maokai, which you can get very quickly with all these Voidlings, stab him in the eye every time. Get the Herald. Poor guy.
You just gotta feel bad, you know? Nature helps you evolve, magic helps you evolve, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna give you a giant eye on your back.
You would think that over time, you know, with the laws of evolution, as like Rift Heralds eventually would spawn 2 eyes, also one not located on its back.
We posted recently we have 100 million concurrent players. How many Rift Heralds do you think die a day? I feel like at this point they would lose the weak eye on the back.
Nope, still get poked into it every single time. It hurts. Poked myself in the eye today. Can confirm.
You live a difficult life, Krepo. Truly
Getting
full of
dressed
struggle.
is surprisingly hard if you have physical capabilities of a caster. Anyways, ROCCAT still fighting.
Maybe looking for greater opportunities. Once again, the gold basically dead even. Small differences here, but nothing too relevant at this stage.
Yeah, and now we see something that H2K have been working on, which is also hard with their composition. It is incorporating side lane farm in their mid game.
Pulling back now, though. Have to be safe. Redemption coming out. H2K getting aggressive on the mid lane, and ROCCAT really not comfortable to trade here.
Yeah, because this lane matchup is exactly what ROCCAT want. They want Fiora to be dueling with her teleport on the bottom side of the map versus Maokai. They want this Ryze on a side lane to keep the map open, so this is H2K's least preferred map configuration. It doesn't mean they can't play it, but it's not what their comp really wants to do. Their comp wants to play 4-1. That's why Febiven neutralized the wave rather, and he's peeling off right now to come join this mid lane siege.
And a lot of confidence coming in from H2K as well. Not too worried about the damage, the return. Chei flanking on the side. Jankos.
You say flanking, but it's incredibly risky, and you have to be very aware of the vision when you do that.
Oh!
He's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Varus. We've all experienced it. We didn't expect always to see it here, but...
We always talk European sniper, American sniper, but Korean snipers, man. They're so good that they forget. They make Hjarnan forget to press heal and flash. That's how good they are.
That... All right, we're gonna have to focus back because Betsy's getting taken down here. H2K are blowing the map wide open.
Another Korean sniper comes in, suppresses
ROCCAT are not happy with this. They're going to make moves of their own. Odoamne potentially going to get taken down here. Healing field does drop at the tail end of that Fiora ultimate. Phaxi now pulling back. Maybe looking to find the fight onto Jankos, but no engage opportunities. H2K,
and
this is huge.
This is huge. You say it right there. It's such a massive opening right now. They killed 2 crucial players. They got another turret in the top side. They negate the snowball opportunity for Phaxi. Things are looking so horrible right now for ROCCAT.
And the map just goes wide open. 1 kill drops in mid lane. Suddenly they can go, oh yeah, we're going to go in on top lane. ROCCAT respond, but nothing happens.
That's what you want in 1-3-1. You want to kill one guy so you can force numbers advantages somewhere. And it is the hard part for ROCCAT. The main weakness in their 1-3-1 comp is that they have very limited wave clear, right? So if you look at who's defending the mid wave, it's Ivern, Tahm Kench, and Jhin. So we can actually just say Jhin. He's solo clearing mid waves, which means every time he walks up for CS, he gets an arrow in the face. Understandable. But then, when you're not walking up to CS, try and use your heal. Generally keeps you alive.
Sidestep, I mean, there's options, right?
Flash, base, or die.
He chose die this time. I don't think he'll choose that next time.
I don't think he'll be choosing anymore, because ROCCAT right now are 3,000 gold behind. It's H2K that make the choices.
Setting us up, curtain call goes in, just clearing a wave.
That's wave clear.
That's
it's
true.
It's safe wave clear.
Krepo, I don't think that's the ideal use of the curtain call, though. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, maybe you know more than I do, but that doesn't feel good to me.
It doesn't feel ideal, but it actually was a solution previously. If you had to clear a wave and he was at threat of dying or using stumps, using curtain call to clear a wave is acceptable in this comp.
Is that the moment where you like do the classic tanky support body block?
Yeah.
Poor Chei. Not a tanky support.
That's a passive.
True.
Blocks
one shot.
All it takes is one shot.
One opportunity. ROCCAT need to find an opportunity, though, as we move into the mid-game. 20-minute mark, and H2K holding on to a 2K gold lead. The split push is working out well so far, but it's H2K who we have to wait to a response from.
I like it. It's pretty aggressive to go for this turret, but they know they have the Tahm Kench ultimate to kind of rotate from mid to top. This is actually a really nice opening. This is something you wouldn't expect from a team that just made such a big mistake. And the river vision in around Baron is actually pretty nice. They just lost a few control wards to Chei clearing them, but overall, ROCCAT is still hanging in there nicely. It all depends right now. Can Phaxi keep beating Odoamne's Maokai? Yeah, look at it.
And I mean, it looks good right now. He finished the Black Cleaver. He's on his way to the Ravenous Hydra. Maokai forced to build some MR for the coming fights means that Fiora will have a better 1v1 matchup. So I feel like the other question for H2K is where can they find an opportunity for Odo to get out of that lane, to get into team fights, to force something
I mean,
on.
that's the teleport, right? All he needs to do is neutralize. It's more up to Chei and Nuclear to provide the crowd control effects. Chei has a lot of agency in this game because there's nobody building a QSS just yet. So he could really open up and swing picks, especially in a map so divided. If Febiven can ever peel off, disappear into Fog of War, which again is probably Chei's job to do as well with the vision, he is a very crucial player for H2K right now.
Keep your eyes on the Malzahar, as always. Nethergraph, such an important ability. The potential to lock down, shut down any one member of the ROCCAT lineup.
The random control ward in the Russian mid lane. I like this, the switch up from Febiven right here. He knows there's a lot of distance to cover for Betsy to push all the way into the top side. Betsy will likely do it slowly too. So they're moving for a bit of a gank or maybe a dragon attempt.
Looks like they may be shifting the lane.
Yeah, they're shifting the lane matchups to secure dragon, most likely.
Second Ocean on the board, maybe not looking to give that one up. Not as crucial as we move further into the game, but good to have. That's a solid engage onto Wadid. He's in trouble. Daisy's still swinging away. Maxlore still up, but Wadid does drop. Jankos on the front lines. That's big. In goes Febi. Double kill for Jankos. The red buff ticks down. The arrow lands true, and Nuclear gets another one.
Superb usage of the package and the nethergraphs. This was a coordinated H2K catching ROCCAT off guard, despite all the information technically being present to ROCCAT. They force the engage on one guy, but they don't blow too much because they know Devour is available. Chei's played so much Tahm Kench that he knows if he nethergrasps Maxlore right there, it's a waste. Then they one-shot the Tahm Kench, not allowing him to use his thick skin right there. And then Febiven comes sweeping him because Betsy is nowhere near to be found.
Excellent play going in. Once again, the confidence from Febiven on this Corki to leap under a tower to secure those kills.
And we see that ROCCAT is still struggling in the mid game because having your Ryze that far up in the top lane is acceptable as long as you're careful mid. So you need to make a choice right now. If you're ROCCAT, you can't have Ryze aggressively push top lane, and you can't be aggressive in the mid lane at the same time. It's just simply not allowed in terms of League of Legends macro. Because it's too easy for H2K to do exactly this.
maybe lulled into feeling safe, that they were just going to continue to play out the game as it has been, forgetting for a moment how much damage is present on this H2K lineup. Yeah,
and if you elect not to build Quicksilver Sash against the Malzahar, you need to be ready for these type of engages.
Well, Woodley's getting shot down, Dragon steadily falling. H2K don't want to take any risks here, don't want to give it up. 4K gold lead now matching the Ocean Drake of ROCCAT.
Yep, and there's no Baron Rush potential because it's been taken, which means H2K can more comfortably play the game on 2 lanes right now. Because the payoff of playing on 3 lanes isn't there for ROCCAT anymore, especially when they're this pushed in. Look how far Betsy would have to push to make it all the way to tier 2 in the top lane. H2K says, you know, we're just going to clear mid with Febiven, keep those minions alive. It's actually getting engaged on right now.
Oh, Febiven running, but Chei on his way in, as is Jankos. Talk about the agency that Chei has, and now this is just a feeding ground for him. He can go in anywhere, pick off anyone, and right now H2K have got their sights set on the bottom side.
Group Siege, you have probably a 2-second silence almost. Yep, 5 points into that Q here from Chei. Switch 3 points into Voidlings, then 5 points into his Q. He has a 2-second silence. You have a massive tank and 3 great poke champions.
No engage coming quite yet. Nice silence onto the front lines. Maxlore's in trouble, will get eaten up. Arrow does land, snares up a couple members as well, but the turret slowly and steadily falling. H2K are going to grab this one.
Yeah, and the counter to a poke comp is either brute force all in or just let it be. You're not going to win if you take it slow. Look at Hjarnan, half HP. ROCCAT may as well yield.
Snare onto Odo, not the member that you want to hit. Arrow charging up from Nuclear. That's not going to connect onto anyone. Odoamne maybe going to get taken down. Phaxi gets dropped as well. 1-for-1 trade.
Good pickup right there. Nuclear is strong though. He is the man to watch in these fights, dealing so much damage.
Watch the arrow. Where's it going to go? Healing reduction down onto Maxlore as well. Exactly where they want to be. Inhibitor's now going to fall as well. H2K slowly bleeding them out. They need the fight. Chei going in. Nice denial by Wadid. Running back, trying to get Betsy to safety, but they can't keep this one going. Wadid has to give his life. Betsy may give it 2. Arrow goes down, ticking, but does make it down to the fountain.
Yeah, good decision making there from H2K. It doesn't matter that he gets devoured. All what matters is that Betsy gets CC'd when he rushes into you, so he can then target other people, either by Nether Grasp or by his allies Devour. And right now the base is open for H2K.
25 minutes. Betsy trying to clean up house. Jankos going to get taken down. Chei next on the menu. Febiven running forward. Who's he going to kill first? Hjarnan goes down. Can he get Betsy 2? Exhaust onto him. That's going to do it. Betsy running, and it's the triple. He's looking for the quadra. Just going to tick him down. Nice defense.
I mean, you got saved once. You can't do it twice. H2K going for the straight finish when basing was a much better call here. This is scrim behavior, and they know. Look at it. Look at the player cams. They're laughing because they know they went for a greedy finish when there was absolutely no need to. If they just base right there, they go mid and top, this game's over. 100%.
Now, of course, Betsy picks up 4 more kills, but is this going to be the defining moment? Is that quadra kill going to turn it back for ROCCAT?
It could be the tipping point if H2K keeps kind of what we say, trolling. You know, if they keep playing loose and they get caught off guard by a good Realm Warp or a good Abyssal Voyage, it's technically possible, which usually is the best kind of possible. But look at it, the setup right here. It starts seemingly well, but once Phaxi drops, it's really easy for Chei to just keep his eyes on Betsy. All he has to do is stop Betsy if Betsy goes in. He can't overstep himself. Let's pause all of a sudden. Then Betsy goes in.
Freeze frame.
Freeze frame right here. Zoom in, enhance. Wadid flashes even for it. But Betsy is now CC'd by his own teammates. And 2 of his teammates die in the process because he can't obviously do any return damage. At this point, H2K, you base, you go mid-top. You do a 4-1 siege with automatic minion pressure in bot lane. These guys are just trying to keep it short.
I mean, respect. 25-minute marks looking to end the game before we hit 26. No longer going to be the case.
Some disgusting bounces, though. I like that Febiven goes for enemy AD carry right there, and he almost would have finished off Betsy if it wasn't for the exhaust.
I mean, such a powerful spell, especially in those circumstances as well. Just shutting down the entire burst rotation of the Corki. Realm Warp comes in. This could be the opportunity.
They have to try. They have to do something.
Redemption goes in. H2K not taking the bait. H2K not taking the fight, but they have the package. Maybe looking for the re-engage instead.
There's still an Abyssal Voyage. I'm kind of disappointed Phaxi wasn't here with the team, because you know you're going to have to pull the trigger. And I would just deliver Phaxi one side, Realm Warp the other, and just brute force all in. Because right now you have one of your warps disabled. H2K can play a lot more comfortable.
And pushing forward, Maokai's with them as well. Odo happy to be there. QSS available for Wadid as well as Betsy and Phaxi. No one is going to get locked down here. Tahm Kench will make sure of it if the individual solo laners do not.
Yes, but there's still the silence. It's sometimes really deceptive how strong that can be, so we need to track if Chei can land some of those in the fights.
Running forward, Daisy just going to be body blocking, no damage coming out. Betsy on the side, going on to Nuclear, not going to find the opportunity. ROCCAT pulling back, that's so much poke damage. Graves' ult comes out, will not be enough. Deadly Flourish not going to connect, and H2K, the slow, steady siege.
Yep.
Been a lot cleaner after the Quadra for Betsy in the base.
They're slowing down. There's obviously no more Baron buff. Things getting needlessly hard and complicated. Probably will likely have a stern word with the H2K lineup after that one.
Well, the slow siege continues. At the end of the day, they are still setting up for the win. Imagine it'd be a much less stern word than if they were to get over-aggressive here. Yeah.
No, for H2K, it's good to bide their time. They can obviously punish ROCCAT if ROCCAT walk forward. But obviously, in a map so wide open, there are opportunities for ROCCAT to pursue.
One of those opportunities is going to have to be the Baron. 37 seconds out until it will spawn. Infernal Drake up as well. They really can't afford to put their vision anywhere other than in that pit. And this is pretty much the do-or-die moment. If it wasn't clear that H2K were already set to win this game, if they take this next Baron, it will be confirmed. And if ROCCAT can steal it, if ROCCAT can look for a fight, find an opportunity here, maybe they can win out.
Not quite Cody Sun levels of Varus poke, but Nuclear still doing a great job. Topping the charts right there.
Good to see. Once again, I mean, Nuclear, insane game against G2, of course, finding the early lane advantages. This time, the arrows just continue to land true in the fights, but...
No, H2K definitely, everybody did their role. Everybody knew their job. They fell behind due to a few nice plays from ROCCAT, but overall, they had the bigger picture in mind. They played their strategy well. They didn't tunnel into the 1-3-1. They didn't try to match. They peeled away. And then on kind of item spikes as well as package spikes, they switched up the map and surprised more than once.
Items across the board for them look very good right now. Of course, you can see the respect for the Ivern composition coming out in the itemization present. Executioner's calling.
Yeah, when you play versus potentially 2 redemptions, you want some heal reduction. It's a standard, obviously. Edge of Night, super strong if you can build it. If your champion has some use for this item, build this item.
Yeah, believe it or not, 30-second spell shield on top of lethality.
Well, 10 seconds spell shield.
10 seconds every 30 seconds.
Is nasty. And then really good utility build from Chei, just running over it. This is the 3-item maximum DPS spike Corki build. H2K peeling off Nashor here. Good vision toggle right there. We can see the pressure that ROCCAT is under right now. Brushes give vision, I think, for the first 3 seconds, but then they become just brushes. So you're actually working against yourself here if you're ROCCAT and you're spawning brushes for vision, because you help yourself right now, but you hurt yourself in the future. It's like a bad credit loan.
The payday loans, man.
Payday loans.
They need the vision. They need the vision now.
They need the vision now. They don't care about 3 seconds from now. Damn.
They're going to care about 3 seconds now because they're missing a member, and this tower's going to need to get defended. Wadid is all alone, and Jankos is unconcerned.
It's a bit in too deep, though.
Daisy on the side, Trigger Seed going in. Odoamne ready to TP on the backside. Betsy's taking a lot of damage. The healing reduction is down as well, but suddenly it's Odo all alone.
Oh, Phaxi!
Chei! Oh, gonna get burned through. Phaxi's popping off. Exhaust does drop. That's a little too deep. Flank does come out. It is the 1-for-1 in the end. H2K biding their time, pushing forward.
But yeah, you can see how close it's getting here. Imagine if 1 or 2 members a little lower, and Phaxi gets a slightly better entry point into the fight.
Looks good overall. Taking Chei off means the Nether Grasp is off the table as well. Maybe easier for them to find engagement, but top laner for support, not the trade they want.
Don't hit the ward if you're going to do Baron.
Now moving forward. Oh. I mean, it's like this brief moment of calm, but you both know, you just know that the teams are ready for Baron.
This is the moment where H2K truly realized maybe we should have not greeted for the Nexus. And we've all been there in solo queue. Ah, this game is over. This game is not so over. Oh dear, don't tell me we're throwing. Ah, we threw.
Well,
ROCCAT going for Panning Baron.
Steadily getting lower, healing reduction drops as Nuclear gets the arrow across the team. Lots of poke damage going in. Jankos on the front line. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Maxlore down next. They're just cleaning house. 2 down for him in the end. Is any CC going to land? No. Shut down. Doesn't even make it out. Yep. 1 realm away, not enough to stop the damage from Febiven. Wadid now in trouble, but here comes Phaxi once again. There's no exhaust this time to shut him down. He's trying to look for damage onto Jankos, but there's 3 members here. Chei's just biding his time, doesn't even burn the ult.
Yeah, panic play at the end there from ROCCAT. They were biding their time, hoping to just get a really good window on guest base timings. It was enough, though. In the end, H2K take it, but they left some wiggle room for ROCCAT. And that's going to be a good mental boost, I think, for ROCCAT for the second game.
Need to come in with clear thoughts, clear plans in the next game. Similar story for H2K, and while it was mostly clean, 1 or 2 mistakes could leave openings in the future.
Much more resilient ROCCAT. They too try to have clear calls, good plans. They try to channel their inner CLG, but sometimes they still struggle while doing that.
I mean, okay, I'm not gonna. CLG's having a hard enough time in NA. They do not need me to meme on them anymore.
See, good coach taps his players twice with the notebook. Take note.
Oh wait, I think that was 3 times though.
No, everybody got 2 taps.
I think that was 3 on me.
Oh, favoritism for Prolly.
Favoritism.
Things going downhill here.
The rising star, no longer non-biased.
Yeah. I think things are going to go downhill from here for H2K.
Ah, clear sign, Krepo.
An equal amount of taps is very worrisome trend. Now, H2K, I think we saw more of the same from them. They played a lot of pressure, which means chip damage, which means eventually if something happens on the map, you always have cross-map potential. Like if there's a full HP turret, you can't take it. We saw that especially when ROCCAT went bot lane. They got a kill on a tower, but then Febiven finished off mid lane turret that he prepped so well earlier. So that in itself already is a 1 trade for H2K, because mid lane turret is much more valuable than bot lane, and you get first turret gold, which is actually what the kill is worth. But then they take another tower on top of that in the top lane, and suddenly, while you're trying to catch H2K, yeah, how about that?
Yeah, it doesn't work out for them in the end, though. For more on how that game 1 went down, let's send it over to the analyst desk and take a look.
How about that? Definitely not going to cash you outside, but we are going to talk about the game. And I love that you brought it up again, Krepo, how systematically H2K played out this game. And that is exactly what we wanted to look at. They are a team coming into this with fantastic objective control. First in first blood, first tower, and first dragons. And then here, first blood gets taken away from them.
Well, yeah, this is what happens sometimes. You play very standard and so on. And a jungle gank, you know, can always appear. And this time around, ROCCAT picks up the kills for it. But the thing we like about H2K and what we're going to follow is just how they don't panic. Like, they don't try and then suddenly counter-gank a ton of things and be super aggressive all of a sudden. They start cross-mapping. This is just another good setup by ROCCAT, but if you look at the minimap, you can already see now how H2K is saying, okay, we can't play bottom side. We have to start playing on top side. We need to get something in return. And mid lane as well is open because Betsy was roaming. And that simply means, well, first tower hasn't gone down just yet. Oh, sadly here for ROCCAT, it actually died in the mid lane before they got it bot lane. Dragon dies. Well, what do? You take the Rift Herald. Again, you always trade cross-map 24/7. You don't panic if you start falling behind to some ganks, because ganks can always happen. Even the worst team in the world can gank SKT and get a kill. But then you got to make sure you don't lose everything else on the map, which is what ROCCAT actually started doing.
And on top of that, Fiora got a kill there in that bottom lane gank, so you'd be afraid of if she get the upper hand in the lane versus Maokai, so that Rift Herald doubly pays out.
Exactly, just even more value. Normally you take Rift Herald because there's nothing else on the map, but in this case here, to try and stop a split pusher, it buys you a little bit more time. Odoamne stayed alive for longer, which again allowed the rest of H2K to make plays, and that's exactly what we started seeing once we get out of the laning phase.
Definitely, 3 kill deficit, but no gold deficit, and then H2K have already taken down the first tower. They have Rift Herald. They still have control. So the minute they get a snipe, they know how to capitalize.
Exactly. Like, this is obviously a big mistake from Hjarnan, having both summoners up, just not expecting to get hit there. But as soon as they get that 1 kill, on your minimap, you can see Chei on the Malzahar, instantly moves to the top side. Betsy here makes one of these classic mistakes we see where you lose control of the mid lane and you still try and step forward in your side lane, and he just gets ganked instantly. Top tower goes down. And it looks so simple, because it is so simple if you just play it by the book. So when you get that advantage mid, if the enemy is then overextending in the side lane, you just move over there, you kill the guy, you take the tower. And it's not flashy, but it's so effective.
And we also got to point out it is simple, but it is made simpler, of course, because they are not playing versus a top opponent. It is much easier to execute that game plan when there aren't as many counter moves coming out of the opposite team.
Sure, obviously Hjarnan should never die there in the first place, and then Betsy shouldn't step forward when Hjarnan has already died. So just some mistakes there from ROCCAT, but I think it's just cool because we see this from H2K like so often. That they do. It's not just random, it's like really planned out, and that is like the good macro we often highlight.
Definitely, and they already were in a good position, but then in the end they know that they can engage mid lane, they pull the trigger for the team fight, follow it up with Baron, and boom, done deal.
Yeah, kind of the same thing again where Betsy is split pushing right now, so H2K, they know, okay, we're gonna have a numbers advantage if we go for this. Package comes in from Febiven, and there's just 0 chance here for ROCCAT to actually win the fight, because they're never 5 members, and H2K, they know that, and that's why they know, okay, we have package timing, Odoamne is on his way down, could even have teleported if needed, he didn't have to. So they just get like this very clean engage into Baron.
Yep.
And yeah, it's not a clown fiesta at all.
No.
It's really simple. It's
beautiful to see the execution.
It's the beautiful rotations and everything. And it's why, you know, you become a top team.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. Of course, you could say, well, H2K, why don't you just go ham and pick some crazy things? But I like that they're just trying to cement the way that they know how to play the game and play it out cleanly. We'll see what happens in the next game. I mean, I might want to see them going crazy, but how, as a ROCCAT, do you disrupt this? Because in their head, probably they say, well, we got that gank, we got first dragon, okay, first tower fell, but what more can they do to kind of be counteractive?
In a game like this, it honestly comes down to them, and this is not something you can fix just going into game 2, but because it would come down to you just being as good as good at playing the map as H2K are. Because where ROCCAT started faltering was when H2K would move and cross map, ROCCAT wouldn't follow fast enough, and they would give them suddenly an advantage mid lane for Febiven or top lane. They would pick up a kill they didn't have to give away, and some of those small mistakes cost them. But I think ROCCAT should keep trying to gank. They should keep trying to play aggressive early
Snowball
game.
more.
They have to almost try and just like super snowball in the early game.
Would you rather see a Kha'Zix except for that, like Ivern, because you know
Actually,
you probably
yes.
won't get to the point where it's valuable?
Most European teams, Ivern is fantastic on. ROCCAT, who's trying to beat a top team, a macro-heavy top team, no. Just honestly, go for Kha'Zix, go for early game junglers who can really snowball, play aggressive lanes. I like the Fiora pick here. They got kills on it as well. That was actually a clear win condition. Sadly for them, the rest of the team then started dying a lot and they lost almost every tower. So Phaxi never got to actually be a proper split pusher. I think we just have to see like risky picks. Try and go for the high reward plays early. Yes, if it backfires, you lose, but you will probably lose anyway.
Yeah, well, there we go. We'll see what happens. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have game 2 between H2K and ROCCAT.
How do you say hello in Lebanese?
Marhaba.
Lebanon, I mean. Marhaba.
I have no spit.
Marhaba, Febiven.
Odoamne getting cut down slowly but surely. Daisy dishing out the damage, and they are going to take him down in the end. ROCCAT popping off, but H2K are on the top side. All right, we're gonna have to focus back because Betsy's getting taken down here. H2K are blowing the map wide open. Good to have. That's a solid engage onto Wadid. He's in trouble. Daisy still swinging away. Maxlore still up, but Wadid does drop. Jankos on the front lines. That's big. In goes Febi. Double kill for Jankos. Jankos gonna get taken down. Chei next on the menu. Febiven running forward. Who's he gonna kill first? Hjarnan goes down. Can he get Betsy 2? Exhaust onto him. That's gonna do it. Betsy running and it's the triple. He's looking for the quadra. Just gonna take him down. Nice defense.
Top as well. I'm really strong now.
Oh, that's a lot of damage. Maxlore down next. They're just cleaning house.
No, just end the game, please.